Do we have something to do or talk about before we start this episode?
We just have to sync.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I thought there was something
mean,
we had to talk about. Business-wise. I thought
FOP business?
Yeah. I guess not, though. I think we did the scheduling.
The next episode's coming out. I'll prep it for Thursday.
Yeah, we'll aim for Thursday.
I have the video rendered, so I was going to, after this, just have it overnight uploading to YouTube, because my computer's really slow at it, so I just, do it while I'm asleep.
Okay.
So that'll be good to go, and then I'll just do the audio, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah. And like I said, I'll try to edit this one, tomorrow or tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow or Thursday.
You sure you're good to take this one?
Yeah, because next week I definitely want to just watch Batman movies leading up to the Batman.
Yeah.
That's going to be my...
Yeah, sorry I'm watching it before you.
Yeah, I don't know how... Of course that somehow happened. Same with fucking Civil War and all that bullshit.
Wait. I thought...
That was
you were with us for Civil War.
No, she was, but then she revealed after the fact that she actually saw it the night before, but just literally didn't tell us.
I didn't want you
even
guys
though we
to
were
be
sitting
mad.
there. We're sitting there talking about theories, and she was just nodding her head yeah, maybe, yeah.
What is the feature-length podcast? Anyone?
The feature-length podcast is a show where three idiots talk about film and entertainment.
Good answer.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, are you talking to us?
Yeah. I'm talking to the voices in my head.
I truly don't know. It felt like a fever dream. I swear to God, I could not.
It sounds so stupid hearing that.
If you're listening to this is a podcast.
Welcome back to the feature-length podcast.
Welcome back to the feature-length podcast.
Welcome back to the feature-length podcast, a podcast where we talk about movies and TV for a feature length of time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the feature-length podcast, a podcast where we take a look at a movie or series for a feature length of time. I'm Daniel, and with me are my co-hosts, Carolina.
Hello.
And Marco.
Hey!
Today we have decided to look back at the 2017 film Ingrid Goes West, starring Aubrey Plaza, Lizzie Olsen, and Ice Cube's actual son. This film is the directorial debut of Matt Spicer, much like the previous two episodes have explored films of first-time directors. Ingrid Goes West is the sad, questionable, and often intentionally cringeworthy depiction of the lonely social media user Ingrid, who lives vicariously through the influencers she follows. After blowing her influencer-follower relationship out of proportion with another social media celebrity, she is admitted to a psychiatric hospital, and when she returns home, she finds that she has received a $60,000 sum of money left to her by her recently deceased mother. Ingrid decides to put this money into a pilgrimage to LA after latching onto a new Instagram influencer, Taylor Sloan. From eating at Taylor's favorite restaurants to shopping at her most frequented stores, to kidnapping her dog to return it back to Taylor herself, Ingrid is determined to insert herself into Taylor's life and win her friendship. But with all of Ingrid's efforts to enter the scene of LA influencer, she misses what is right in front of her, personified in her new landlord, the aspiring screenwriter and Batman fan, Daniel. That's right, not only is O'Shea Jackson Jr. essentially playing the FLP's own Marco as a character, but he also has my name. Sporting convincingly good performances, an admirable color palette, and some genuinely funny moments, the directorial debut of Matt Spicer is quite an impressive work. Witness the deterioration of a sad, lonely soul in Ingrid Goes West.
Very good. Nice.
I didn't realize all three were directorial debuts, too. I thought we were just doing an indie run. I didn't know it was also...
Kind of worked out nice, didn't it?
Yeah, that's
we definitely
so fun.
were just doing an indie run, but yeah, it worked out. So go us for having a theme within a theme.
Subconsciously.
So, if I'm... Okay, I think... Am I correct in assuming the last episode, so... Carol, you started with your thoughts for Promising Young Woman. You started with your thoughts for Kid Detective, right?
Yeah.
Sure, I don't remember.
You definitely... I know you did for Promising, and I definitely did for Kid Detective.
So I guess following in that, I'll just give a quick little review of how I came to...
Absolutely.
Go for it.
So, I first heard of it around 2017 from Red Letter Media.
Another theme of these 3 episodes.
Yeah, actually, I think that is...
We brought them up on everyone.
True, yeah. This kind of formed an accidental little sub-series, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Red Letter Media talked about it. As Marco and I have mentioned previous times, or previous episodes, we're big fans of the channel. Go check them out if you've never heard of them before. They're amazing. And I was excited because Jay from Red Letter Media was a big fan. He's the one I think that brought it up in the episode. They did like a catch-up episode of like a bunch of 2017 movies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
We've
when
done something like that.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of things they've done.
I mean, we are definitely inspired in part by
I
Red
don't
Letter
watch
Media.
them at all, so I'm totally innocent.
Yeah. Okay.
If anyone decides to
Innocent.
ever sue us.
Of the plagiarism. Yeah.
Anyway, but I was also a little bit worried because when Jay talked about what it was about, he said it was about like this like person aspiring to be like an Instagram influencer,
Mm-hmm.
and I was worried that it would be like a cringy, like trying to appeal to a younger audience, like, oh, this is a social media centric movie. It turns out it's not that at all, and the outlook on social media is a lot more refreshing in this movie, especially with the message of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And also just, I found even the depiction of social media itself in this movie was like the integrity and the accuracy was pretty admirable, I think.
Yeah.
Just like showing, like they didn't use like a fake social media or like some like cheesy
I always
interface.
think
It was
that.
just the
Me too.
yeah, it was just the Instagram like interface.
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much.
literally just Instagram.
So that wasn't annoying on that front. But yeah, like I said, it actually has an admirable portrayal of social media, which again ties into the entire message of the film. And it turns out the movie is cringy in other ways, but intentionally.
Intentionally, yeah.
And that was one of my favorite aspects of the whole film. Seeing Ingrid's like self-destructive, like stalker mentality was very interesting. It kept the movie very intriguing, and yeah, much like the previous two films, or the previous two episodes. I mean, this is a very strong directorial debut from the director.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it there for now. I'll pass it over to you guys,
Sure.
whichever one wants to.
Carol,
go
do you
first.
want to go first? Do you want me to
Sure.
go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I just saw this movie for the first time a couple of months ago because Dan and Marco recommended it to me when we were talking about our Palm Springs episode. I don't know if it was like in the episode or outside of it.
It's live on air. You can go back and
Yeah.
listen to our Palm Springs
Live.
episode.
Yeah.
And,
So
yeah.
I took their recommendation and like literally a day or two later watched this movie. Although I had been wanting to watch it simply because I love Aubrey Plaza, and I just kept seeing it on various streaming channels, and I was like, that looks good. I trust most things she's in. It'll probably be entertaining, and I didn't really know anything about it. And I think you guys didn't tell me too much about the plot, so it was a wild ride.
I think we didn't even talk about the plot. We talked about like the visual
Yeah,
similarities.
it was
yeah.
literally
between
just
Palm Springs.
the visuals of
Yeah, so I didn't really know what I was getting into, which I feel like happens a lot on this podcast. I don't know if it's my fault or you guys just like don't tell me anything to like get a genuine reaction. But yeah, I will probably mention it later, but it literally starts with her going to this influencer's wedding and macing her, like the bride. So that was insane and hilarious, and I really liked this movie, and I was highly entertained the whole time, and it was visually gorgeous, but just like the pain I felt for O'Shea, Daniel, it was so sad. He didn't deserve anything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, I know it's like a good part of the story, but just I felt so bad the whole time. But yeah, I won't say too much more because we'll talk about, I'm sure, everything in it. But it was really good, and I loved it. And yeah, it was insane. Like, Aubrey Plaza plays an absolutely insane person and will do anything to be this person's friend. And it was crazy. And so good.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it based on our recommendation. That's
Yeah.
always good. I saw it probably around around 2017. I think around when it came out because of the Red Letter Media video.
Nice.
And then I just ended up watching it because I kept seeing it on streaming, and I was like, okay, whatever. I also really love it. It had been a while for me, obviously, like about 4 years now since the last time I saw it, and then I watched it this time and didn't really actually like. As I started watching it, I was like, oh, I don't really remember most of this movie. Like, I remember the visual style. I remember Like, I remember that O'Shea was, like, a Batman fan, vaguely. I remembered the general, like, gist of, like, she's obsessed with Elizabeth Olsen. But, yeah, watching it again, I was like, oh, this is, like, really fucked up. But I had a very great time watching it again. Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it has that kind of dark humor similar to the last... I mean, all three of these movies that we've watched kind of, in a
Pretty
way...
dark. Yeah.
Are like dark but humorous. They all have like dark humor running through them.
I think they would all be classified as dark comedies.
I think so.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and this one for sure, it definitely has that comedy. And yeah, I found myself laughing a lot. But also just, I think it's, I mean, like you guys have talked about, it's just a really engaging story, and it's a very relevant story. Because, you know, I mean, this movie even predates like TikTok being big, and now TikTok is big, and so there's like this whole other dimension to like being an influencer. But like, I mean, yeah, this movie just kind of nails the level of like that. The thing that like this is like the most Bo Burnham thing that's not made by Bo Burnham, I feel like, in terms of like its message.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Like, and even to some degree, even like the humorous, like the style of humor, I feel like is sort of his a little bit kind of like fucked up. But
it's funny you mentioned that, because Wyatt Russell's character, who I didn't even mention in the intro, reminded me a lot of Bo's his character in Inside, where he's like the brand executive.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it has a lot of those sensibilities, and we also love that. And I think, yeah, I just, you know, just generally, I've really, really enjoyed my time with this.
Yeah, I get a little scared when, like, movies are going to be about, like, social media in general, because, like, obviously it's our whole lives all the time now, unfortunately, and I always, I'm afraid it's going to be, like, a cheesy take on it. It's almost like when something is so all-encompassing, like, everyone experiences it. Like, that's why I'm always scared when people, like, make things about the pandemic. Even now, I'm like, is this just going to be, like, dumb? Like, is this going to be worth me watching this? Because, like, it is always, like, pandemic and social media, I feel like, are both two things that are, like, not great. Like, they don't cause a lot of joy, obviously.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, we're breaking news here.
So it's like, is it worth, like, the re-traumatization or not? And this was.
Right. I definitely, I hear you though. Like, that was, again, my main concern was that this movie, much like a lot of social media centric movies, would be like dated very quickly.
Yeah.
Especially like movies, there are movies that take place on social media, like found footage, I guess, movies like Searching, or that horror movie Unfriended or whatever.
Oh, I heard about that. I never saw that.
Me neither, but I know
watched
of
it.
Bad?
I mean, I was afraid, but it was definitely, like, cheesy.
Okay.
But anyway, this movie took the right stance of what it was trying to say about social media, and it's definitely not, it doesn't pander to, like, glorifying social media, which I think we all enjoyed about this movie. We've all mentioned, I think, on the podcast at some point that, like, we use social media every day. Our podcast is social media, technically, but we can, like, we understand and recognize how damaging it is to the everyday.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Outlook.
Totally. I mean, I am going to make references later in my notes that are basically entirely based from jokes that exist only on social media because of social media. You'll see what I mean when we get there in the podcast. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to drop that thread here, and we'll pick it up later. But like, it's just it's completely changed everything. But yeah, this, like, you know what I think is good about this, and like anything that does social media right, is I feel like it doesn't focus too much on the literal medium that they're dealing with as much as it is more about like the impact it has on the humans around them. And like, that's the best way to get around it. So, I mean, even if, like, I'm glad that this movie just used Instagram, but even if they had made up some fake Instagram because they couldn't get the rights to it, like, I feel like the movie would still function the same, because it's not really about that. It's more about, like, the emotional journeys and, like, a really unstable person that's, like, trying to have a lifestyle and then has to understand that, like, that lifestyle doesn't exist for anyone. It's not, you know. So, like, that's the the way to do it, or even like searching, which I was shocked by, because there was that trend for like a few years of just every like TV show, ongoing TV show, or like movies, it was like, we have to make a movie that's like entirely through a computer screen. Even Modern Family had an episode like that where it was
Broad
like
City
all done.
did too. It was all like Snapchat and Instagram stories for a full 30 minutes.
Exactly. And like, I don't know, I just feel like that's such like a silly trope that like everyone thought to do, but I think what was so great about
it could be so cool.
Like searching
it has,
was.
yeah,
Searching
like
was
it
a good
has the
movie,
potential, so
yeah.
I do understand why everyone wanted to try it, because it is just like such a new thing. Like, you couldn't have done it even like 2 years before like all of these episodes came out. Like, everything changes so quickly. But yeah, some of them are just so dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but it's just one of those things that like you see so much with a lot of Hollywood movies, is just the idea of like following a trend, but what you're not understanding is that the only reason that thing is a trend is because like an artistically gifted person just happened to make that because that was their vision. Even with like R-rated superhero movies, where like after Logan, everyone was like, every superhero movie R-rated. People are mad that the Batman isn't R-rated, and I'm like, why does the Batman need to be? What
would need to happen to make it R-rated anyway?
I don't know. Like, do you want what do you want?
Batman to kill someone.
Well, it's because they want Batman to be the Punisher.
That's the same audience that wants a murdering Batman.
Exactly. As Zach said, by the way, I'm so glad that we can bring up Batman in this episode, and it's technically on brand for this episode. Like, that's a life-saving grace for me, that I'm not derailing the podcast by talking about Batman. But like, yeah, it's just like,
instead of Catwoman.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll talk about my favorite scene in the movie. I just think it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. But like, yeah, I just, again, like, this movie does social media, like you guys have said, but it doesn't focus on the wrong things. It like has a stance to take, and it takes that stance, and it's more a character story than anything. It just uses social media to tell that story. So,
if you will, it uses social media as a medium.
Yes,
which
it
is
very
exactly
much
what
does.
it's supposed to be used for.
100%. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I am kind of, it is kind of funny. Like, I remember the first time I watched this, I was sort of like obviously aware of everyone that was in it.
Yeah.
Like, Wyatt Russell wasn't new Captain America yet, but he had been in 22 Jump Street. And like Elizabeth Olsen I knew, and Aubrey Plaza I knew, and Ice Cube's son I knew. And so like I kind of like, I knew everyone, but
yeah, because this was the second movie
after
Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah. So coming back and watching this now, though, there was this sense I had of like, oh, I'm so excited for this cast. Like, everyone in this cast, because like
they've all blown up.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, Aubrey Plaza and Elizabeth Olsen are just two of my favorite people individually, but then also even just like their friendship. Like, if you see them on the press tour for this movie, like in interviews and stuff, like they're very just like fun and silly, and yeah, I mean, so it was very exciting coming back to this, but that made me think, and this is kind of interesting, is talking about sort of what this movie's about, which is like this girl being obsessed basically with this influencer. And I know, Carol, you've brought up on the podcast before the idea of when you're watching like a ton of a celebrity's content or like listening to a podcast, how you like start to feel like you're friends with that person.
Yes,
and
but
so
for clarification, I have never followed any of them in real life.
Absolutely, of course. And I am the same way. Like, I just want to say I'm the same way. And I'm so much the same way that when I was watching this movie, after having seen so many interviews with Aubrey Plaza and Elizabeth Olsen, I was having the reaction of like, hey, like, they're in this movie, that's great. And then I literally had to stop myself and be like, I don't know these people. Yeah. This is literally what this movie is about, and I'm having this reaction towards them right now.
My old pals, Aubrey Plaza and Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
Good to see them doing well.
Good to see them making moves and doing good things. But yeah.
This movie has a surprisingly good cast for like an indie movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even like we said, they've blown up since, but even just like having Aubrey Plaza and Elizabeth Olsen as your two frontrunners.
Well, I feel like Aubrey Plaza is I feel like she mostly does indie films. Like, I've definitely noticed that trend from her. Everyone else, I don't know. Like, obviously, Marvel stars, but I think she prefers an indie to anything else, because like that is mostly what she is in.
I can see that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But even like she was on obviously Parks and Rec, which was like really big, and she's, regardless of her taste in doing indie films, she's still like a big star herself. So definitely. It's impressive. I do want to hit you guys with a question right off the bat, though.
Ooh, okay.
So it has to do with the very beginning of the movie.
Okay.
So it's fitting that I bring it up now. Do you guys think... So, okay, at the beginning of the movie, like you said, Carol, we start with Ingrid pepper spraying someone who, like... she was an influencer.
Yeah.
We come to find out she was an influencer that Ingrid thought was, like,
Same
her...
thing.
She blew the relationship out of proportion,
Yeah.
which is the whole crux of this movie.
Yeah.
And, like, she freaks out and crashes her wedding and, like, pepper sprays her, like you said. Do you guys think that was the first time, like, the first influencer that like, do you think there were more before that?
I was thinking that the whole time. Because I was like, was this insanity brought on by, like, her mother's death? Because we don't know, like, exactly when it happened. And obviously, like, we don't really know anything about her life before we really, like, are introduced to her at this wedding scene. So I thought about it, and I don't know. I can't imagine it's happened too many times before, because she would, like, be in jail as opposed to
Right.
a mental institution after macing this, like, Instagram celebrity or whatever, right? You know?
Right.
I feel like if you're a repeat offender, eventually they stop just sending you to, like, a hospital and have to, unfortunately, throw the book at you.
I mean, unless you're the Joker in Batman, where he just goes to Arkham Asylum for the, which
And
is
she also is a
technically
white
an
woman,
insane
so-
asylum.
Is she a white
Which is
woman?
also a joke in this movie.
Is Aubrey...
Aubrey?
What's Aubrey Plaza?
I don't know.
What's Aubrey?
Like,
She
what's
could
her
be a white
ethnicity?
presenting
Yeah,
woman, at
I mean, I
least,
think
so that
she's-
probably gives her some leverage.
I actually don't know.
I would think so. I mean, her name in this movie is Ingrid, so, like, I would
Yeah.
assume like she is meant to be a white person in this movie, because I don't know very many people with the name Ingrid that aren't white. But, like,
Yeah.
here's what I'll say. My take on it is, I do think this is probably the first time it's really manifested this way, for a couple of reasons. One, I think the mom's death was clearly very close, because she only gets the money after the fact. So, like, that kind of seems like it was probably a trigger for this whole situation. And then two, after everything goes wrong with Elizabeth Olsen at the end of the movie, she straight up tries to take a bunch of pills.
Yeah.
So, like, I kind of felt like if this was a, like, recurring thing that's been happening her whole life, that the ending of the movie, I almost feel like the ending of the movie is kind of like it happened once, and then she was like, oh, but I'm bouncing back. And then when it happened again, she was like, okay, never mind. This is clearly just a pattern, and fuck me. Like, that was kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I do think she gives me very much Joe vibes from You, the Netflix series You. Actually, there is a lot of similarities with You, even the fact that Elizabeth Olsen has a brother who's, like, a drugged out...
Fucking hate
It's
that.
really
Idiot.
funny that you mentioned that, because I told Dan and Marco before we recorded, but I didn't rewatch this because
Yeah.
I just saw it 2 months ago and I had other things to watch this weekend. Doesn't matter. So I tried to make notes from memory just about, like, everything I could remember. And I wrote, like, oh yeah, she has this brother that Ingrid hates and is, like, an ex-drug addict. And for some reason, I thought it was the same actor who played the brother in You. Just, like, in my brain,
Yeah.
I didn't actually remember, like, who it was. So I was like, yeah, it's probably the same person. So I wrote that in my notes and then looked it up and was obviously corrected. But I think probably because it was a similar kind of relationship.
Very, very similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think she reminds me a lot of Joe in that, and I think going off that analogy, I guess the idea that just she is probably always, like, or since social media has been around or whatever,
Yeah.
had this, like, part of her personality, like how we see her interacting on Instagram at the big with Elizabeth Olsen at first, of, like, wanting to seem cool or whatever. Like, she's probably always had that.
Yeah.
But it's more like her mother's death and the money being given to her that are the I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. The thing that
Catalyst?
allows her to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Of, like, not
Being
just
enabled that?
the enabling factor
Yeah,
and
yeah.
her being able to actually go crazy. Similar to how Joe was just,
Being
like, a
able
weirdo.
to go crazy.
Yeah. Similar to how Joe was just a weirdo, and then one day he killed someone, and it all kind of spiraled out from there in that show. So I think that's very much, like, a similar situation. That was my take on it anyway.
I've never seen You, so I can't confirm nor deny.
It's fantastic.
For real?
No. But, like,
It's
season
like
one...
It's a cheesy, teen drama, but, like,
Yeah,
really
like-
inappropriate.
Very. I would say season one is the closest it ever gets to being, like, a real trying to say something about, like, being a stalker and like
Yeah.
toxic men. Like I think season 1 it has that undertone. It's definitely the most serious. Season 2 is a fucking wild ride. It's by far my favorite season.
Same.
But it,
I was
like,
gonna say that. It's insane.
It's
There's almost
insane.
no logic to it, but it's so good.
Oh, got it.
It's amazing.
But it jumps the
It's one of
shark
those.
like 6 times.
And also,
every
it
time
has
it does, I'm like,
season 2 has Victoria Pedretti from the Hill House series.
Oh, I know that. I thought she was she not there since the first season?
No.
She's only in season 2, which is
Oh.
why it's
Yeah.
the best.
yes,
Oh,
season
okay.
2 is incredible, but
Because
like you
of
have
her
to watch.
specifically. I think.
also,
and like
though-
and just like
Yeah.
all the relationships, like her and
Yeah.
her family introduced to the
Totally.
dynamic.
And also season 2 is kind of so you season 3 just came out. We can cut all this out or whatever. But like you season 3
We always say that, and it
Yeah,
ends up
whatever.
being interesting anyway.
Yeah, I
It
mean
doesn't matter.
I'm editing this episode, so
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to cut any of this out. But like update, yeah, I definitely didn't cut any of this out. Sorry about that. You season 3 just came out, and leading up to it, Madison and I rewatched You season 1 and 2 like right back to back, which we hadn't done
Damn.
before. And You season 2 is literally just a soft reboot of You season 1, but like if it was less serious and more just fucking wild. Because like basically the same things happen, even
Yeah.
down to there was an
Well,
episode
he has
where
a
they go to
pattern.
yeah, well, exactly. He has a pattern because he's yeah. And then You season 3 though, like, it's strange. Like it is not strange in the way You season 2 was like the best thing ever, but it's strange in the way of like what? Like what is happening in this show right now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but hey, season 4, they're making a season 4, so like
Are they?
we'll see. Yeah,
Oh God. Oh right. In
Right, yeah.
France.
yeah. And Paris.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Dan. I can't even explain. You should watch. You should legitimately like not for this, but like if you ever just want like a fun trashy show to watch, you should watch it.
Yeah.
Like it very much is enjoyable, and like there's like
Yeah, it's not
decent
like
comedy
so
in it
bad
and,
it's
like-
good. It's like
No.
fine and like entertaining.
it is entertaining. It's a
Yeah.
good watch, but it's not like.
But
gonna
it's not
blow your
like so
mind.
dumb you want to blow your brains out like some shows.
Exactly.
Like
It's
Riverdale.
not like a Riverdale.
No,
Yeah.
no. It's not.
It's not
Riverdale.
Riverdale level at
Okay.
all. Not even
No,
close.
no. And yeah, there are like genuine moments of like surprise and intrigue and
Yeah.
whatever. And I think all the performances are pretty. Like, I mean, like Joe anyway. Like him and Love is Victoria's character. Like them two are just like awesome. I
Yeah,
love their
they're great.
performances and their chemistry and everything about them. Like they're great on screen together. So
Okay.
anyway, let's keep talking about Ingrid Goes West. I don't even know.
Well, just because I brought it up earlier and then I Wikipedia'd it, the results of her 23andMe DNA test, like Aubrey Plaza's, are on her Wikipedia. So I don't know how
okay.
the fuck they got that, but she's
Interesting.
30 to 34% Iberian, 30 to 31% Irish, 8 to 9.9% West African, 7% Native American, and 0.6% Ashkenazi Jewish. So I don't
Okay.
actually know what that means, but she's white passing. So my comment from earlier stands.
yeah,
That's
I
all.
would think. Yeah.
I don't remember what your comment. even
Oh, I was just saying that, like, because I was saying I don't think she's done it before, because if she had, like, stalked and attacked more people, she probably would have gone to jail. But then I was like, actually, she's a white woman. And then I was like, wait, is she a white woman?
Oh,
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter, because she's a white passing woman, so.
got it.
Yeah.
Null and void.
Okay. So, Marco, if
Yes,
no one
Dan.
else has like, anything specific to say right now,
Nope.
I need to know what your thoughts were, your full thoughts on the Batman thing.
Yeah, it's
You need
fantastic.
to.
Go
I've been
off.
dying to hear.
It is. I mean, I texted last night and I said like, I feel personally attacked by this character because like not even just that he is a Batman fan, but also that he's an aspiring screenwriter. Like there was just something about the combination of those things where I was like, wow, this like whoever wrote this is like seriously calling me out right now. I don't know how they know me on that level, but like, no, I thought it was fantastic. I thought what I really like about it too is like it's not just it like okay, here's what I always say about we had this prof in university, me and one of our friends, John, who always wore superhero t-shirts, okay? Like he always wore Batman shirts, he always wore Superman shirts. But they were always like the Walmart ones. And when I say the Walmart ones, I don't mean like, oh, he's poor and shops at Walmart. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they were always the most nondescript just
like a logo.
Just like the brand.
Yeah.
Like I'm a fan of the brand of Batman. And like generally, like when I buy superhero shirts or whatever, I always try to get more specific stuff of like, I'm getting this shirt that is like the logo is based on this comic run or whatever. Just because it's like I'm actually a fan of this thing and I know more about it than just it exists. You know, I know more about it than just it's a brand. And what I really like about the Batman humor in this is that there is a lot of very specific things that like clearly this person is actually a Batman fan that like put all these jokes in the movie, because it's not just like surface level he likes Batman ha ha ha. Like there are very weird specific things that they nail.
Like
and they
what?
get right like first of all, the fact that the soundtrack he has in his car is the Batman Forever soundtrack, which was like the first and to this day most famous Batman soundtrack, because it had U2 and Seal on the soundtrack. Oh. Kiss from a Rose was written for Batman. Yeah, I'd just like to say that immediately after saying that, I remembered that Prince did the soundtrack for Batman '89, so this was definitely a mistaken fact in my Batman knowledge. I guess what I was more trying to say is just that Batman Forever had a soundtrack with like multiple artists on it, like Kiss from a Rose, and like U2 has their song on there as well. So yeah, please don't kill me. Like,
and they wanted to be playing Kiss from a Rose in the car, like in his car, but the rights were way too expensive.
I knew it because I made a note on my phone where I was like, there are so many times we're in his car. Yeah. Why are we not hearing Kiss from a Rose right now?
Because they couldn't afford it.
God damn it. Damn it.
Indie features, Marco. Indie features.
Give them the money and just re-edit the movie and put that song in the car, because it would make it a perfect movie. But
yeah, their lips won't be moving to the right words. It's fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Fuck it. But reshoot it. I'll pay for the reshoot for that scene.
5 years later.
Yeah, 5 years later. Yeah, so just like the fact that was the soundtrack he had. I was like, okay, like, so you're aware then that like this Batman movie had a very specific soundtrack that people liked or whatever. A lot of the conversations they had where he was like explaining why he likes Batman and what Batman means to him.
On their date.
Again, yeah, even that was so much more not surface level. Like, it was so much more like, oh, like, you kind of must have actually watched and or read Batman stuff to, like, know kind of what you're talking about here in terms of why this guy likes Batman. So that, I thought, was really, really good. But, like, the one that got me, and, like, I already alluded to it, it's my favorite scene in the movie, and it's the sex scene between the two of them. I just think that is, like, one of the funniest pieces of fiction I've ever seen in my life. And, like, we'll talk about that scene, like, we can talk about that whole scene later, like, but the part that got me is that she's in a Catwoman costume. Not really. She's just wearing a t-shirt that has Catwoman on it, and she's trying to be sexy, and it's not whatsoever. But anyway, like, at one point when she gets on top of him, she does the thing that happens in Batman Returns, and it's shot the way it was shot in Batman Returns, where Catwoman, like, licks him.
Oh.
No, Catwoman licks him from, like, his chin up to his nose in that movie. And, like, they literally do, like, a shot-for-shot recreation of that here. And so that's when I was like, no. Like, the people that made this have such affinity for Batman to actually recreate a shot from Batman Returns. To, like, go out of their way to do that on top of all the other Batman jokes. Like, there are so many throwaway Batman jokes.
That was probably, like, for him, a specific request to complete the fantasy.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
That's what I was wondering, is whose idea was it? Do you think it was the director or the writer or, like, a producer? I can't...
shot or the...
No, the whole idea of
being
making
obsessed
him,
with
like,
Batman?
obsessed with Batman.
No, it's got to be the writer. I don't know.
writer.
It's got to be the writer. Because I can't imagine...
It's a plot point.
Like, the level
because
to
it's
which...
so intrinsically... intertwined.
The way it's so intertwined into his character and the choices he makes, and even like when they go to kidnap the guy at the end, and she's like, "This is what Batman would do," and he's like, "No, it's not what Batman." But anyway, but then he starts using a Batman voice when he kidnaps him, like that. I mean, it's just it's so good. Like, it is maybe the best. Like, it's the opposite of like the Big Bang Theory version of comic, where it's just like you're just saying that's like what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the Walmart shirt, where it's just like, haha, remember the character of Batman? It's not that. It's like people that clearly have affinity for it and thought this was fucking hilarious, and it is fucking hilarious. And as a Batman fan, I absolutely loved every second of it. And every second of it, I was like, I'm here for all of this. This is great.
But then, like, when you look at that scene from outside of just how funny it is, like, she does that just so he will, like, play into her fantasy with, like, Taylor, the influencer. Like, that's so fucked. That she's like,
she's manipulative.
I will sleep with him, literally just to get him to pretend to be my boyfriend. And also so he, like, lets me continue living here and forgive me for crashing his car. Or not crashing, but, like, stealing it and ruining his read-through and just so many things. So many mean things. Too.
Oh my god, that read-through thing is another one of my favorite jokes, where he's like, yeah, like, you can borrow the car, but, like, we need a Catwoman.
I also like when, like, Ingrid's talking to Taylor about, like, her boyfriend who they've never met yet, and she's like, yeah, he's cool, he's a screenwriter, he's writing the new Batman movie.
Yeah, he's writing the new Batman movie, he's writing a Batman spec script.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's fantastic.
But I was trying to decide, so you guys think she only slept with him, like, only to get him to go to the party? There wasn't anything more there? I couldn't really tell.
Because the scene before is where he kind of, like, says his piece about why he likes Batman or whatever, and then she opens up too. And I also couldn't... But this in and of itself is kind of a Batman reference because she very much is being Catwoman. Like, I know she jokingly is Catwoman.
I guess,
but she also literally is being his Catwoman in so much as, like, yeah, there is definitely something real there, but, like, it also benefits her. And so, like, who knows to what degree she's playing it up versus how serious it is.
Is this just like an Elseworlds Batman
story?
This
is kind of, yeah. Like, that's what I mean about, like, clearly, like, these people know what they're doing because she... Like, it's not like they picked, like, Poison Ivy. It's not like he was like, I need a Poison Ivy, and she dressed up like Poison Ivy's also hot. Like, Harley Quinn is also hot. She, like, very specifically, they made her Catwoman, but also, like, their relationship is very much Batman and Catwoman's relationship. So, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much she's putting it on. There definitely is some sense of putting it on. Because when they get to the party, she's really shitty to him.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
And she's like, don't talk about your stupid Batman shit. And you can't be friends with this guy. And that's literally all he does is talk about Batman and be friends with that guy.
Yeah.
But also, don't talk about your stupid Batman shit when you told everyone he's writing a Batman script, so why can't he talk about it? Like, it still fits the narrative. But at the same time, I don't think... I just imagine she was so obsessed with Taylor that there was no room for her to, like, emotionally even think about, like, love or sex or dating.
Right.
Like, just, she was so obsessed with this other person that it was, like, all consuming. Like, I mean, obviously so much so that literally she almost kills herself when she doesn't end up being her friend. So I can't imagine, like, even though he's, like, so attractive, oh my god, and so nice and so funny, what a dude. But, like, I still can't believe that she would, like, be able to notice any of those things just because she was so distracted.
Yeah, totally. That does make sense. And I guess even at, like, by the end of the movie when she steals his truck again or whatever, like, she doesn't really have remorse for it. She's kind of like, I took your truck, like, don't freak out. But at the same time, then she keeps checking her text to see if he's replied to her. So I don't know. It is this weird sort of, like...
Okay, yeah, because I haven't re-seen it. Do you mean, like, the actual end? Because I just remember that he sees her story when she posts about, like, killing herself, and, like, he's the reason she survives. And they talk at the hospital. And then I don't remember what happens after that.
Well, it's before
That's the very end.
Okay.
But, like, before that...
She takes his truck
after she finds
to drive
out,
to Palm
about...
Springs.
Correct.
Gotcha.
She steals it again, and she sends him a text, and is just very cold about it, and it's like, I took it, don't worry about it. But then when she's in Palm Springs, and is
that actually Palm Springs?
No, Carol called it. I don't think it's.
I thought it was just a coincidence.
It's the name of the U2 album. It's
a desert.
Oh my god, U2.
That place is called Joshua Tree.
Joshua Tree. That's what I meant.
But I didn't know if maybe that was a place in Palm Springs.
I don't know. I don't know anything about geography, as we established from the last episode. But, like,
especially
guys, are we gonna do another geography minute?
I didn't know there was such a demand for geography minute.
Yeah. But there is a U2 album called Joshua Tree, right?
Yes, you're correct.
But that's so funny because they have the Batman soundtrack which featured a U2 song that they wrote for that movie.
Oh, you're right.
Joshua Tree is a national park in southeastern California, east of San Bernardino and Los Angeles and North Palm Springs.
Okay.
It's all the West.
Yeah. Yeah, but so after she steals his truck, is like very cold about it, but then once she's there, is checking her text and like longingly waiting to see if he replies to her. So again, to your point, it very much is this kind of back and forth thing of, but then to Carol's point, the only time she's doing that is after Taylor has been like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
So maybe it is more of just a reaction of like, oh, I'm alone again, and now I need this person that I know is whipped on me because I've manipulated him to be whipped on me. So like, whipped. Because Catwoman.
Nice, good one.
Thank you. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the case.
Yeah.
Do they like end up together? Is that what we're supposed to believe? Like they are romantically involved at the end of the movie?
Great question.
That is a good question. It's left ambiguous.
Because if
and
so,
also,
how dumb is he?
I was gonna say,
I feel bad for him. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So the movie doesn't really answer that, but also like the whole ending is left ambiguous because. Like, okay, what do you guys think of how it ended, how her arc ended? Do you feel like she reverted at all?
Okay, this is I'm glad you brought this up, because this time, I was a little stuck on the ending after watching it.
And I guess a further question to this question, do you think that was like a deliberate, well, I mean, it's obviously a deliberate choice, but do you think that was like the point of the movie?
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of the ending. Like, I am very curious to hear you guys' thoughts, because I was kind of stunned watching this movie again and how it ended. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I even like this as an ending or not.
Because she goes through all this growth, and then in the very last shot, it seems to all kind of go away when she realizes she has this huge following.
I think it is kind of like a this is inevitable type thing. And even Dan, when you're like, do you think it undid all her growth? I immediately was like, was there any growth? Like, she tried to kill herself because it seemed like she didn't learn that it like doesn't mean anything, and that these people and relationships are all fake, and you just need to like get off your phone and not like die, but like live real life. Like, it seems like she didn't understand that there is a life outside of social media still by the end of it. So yeah, I think that will probably just spiral her. Although I think, like, not that this is great, but I think now that she could become a social media personality, she will have all these quote-unquote friends. Like, there will now be people obsessed with her, and so she might feel fulfilled by that, at least, in the way that she, like, won't pick a new person to stalk or mace or whatever.
She is that person now.
Yeah, right. So maybe she'll be stalked or maced.
Let me reword my... Okay, I said growth. And let me just word it. Let me say it this way. Do you think it reverted her what she learned about her condition? Because she was very self-aware by the end of the movie. Yeah. Even if she wasn't, like, definitely more so than at the beginning. So there was like, in that sense, there was some growth there. She learned something. She grew as a character. Yeah. But then, I mean, me personally, I felt literally just with that last scene or that last shot where she's like looking at her phone and realizing what happened when she was out, like everything kind of, she went back to square one. Yeah. And I don't really know what to think about it.
Yeah, for me, I kind of bumped on it because sorry, just an email popped up on my screen from the Windsor International Film Festival. I think what I bumped on is sort of what you bumped on, and I think I was thinking a lot of Kid Detective, which obviously we just watched it, so that's very clear in my mind. But the idea that, like, we talked about how that movie ends with him getting everything he wants, but only getting everything he wants after he's gone through the change, and we've seen him very clearly go through the change, and so then it becomes this, like, ironic thing that, like, he has everything that he wants, but it doesn't matter to him anymore. And, like, that as a character arc that we thought was, like, very strong. And I think what I bumped on with this a little bit was I didn't really know what the ending was supposed to mean, because I was kind of like, are we supposed to believe that she's gone through the change and that this is... Are we supposed to believe this is the same idea as the Kid Detective ending? Or are we supposed to believe that, like, this is a very nihilistic, like, life repeats itself type of ending of this is never going to end. Like, I just wasn't sure. And I guess to some degree that's maybe a bit of a fault. Not fault, but just sort of like, I wish it was a bit more clear in what that was supposed to mean, because I don't know. Like, I don't know how to read it.
I don't know if this will influence either of your thoughts or if it is meant to influence our thoughts about the ending. But you know how, like, the hashtag is, like, I am Ingrid, and you hear a bunch of, like, voices saying it? The last voice who says it is Elizabeth Olsen. Wow, I couldn't say her name. Elizabeth Olsen. Let me enunciate.
Okay. I had a question about that, because I wasn't sure. I thought it was probably
interesting. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't either till I did my research.
Okay, so I have another question having to do with that.
Yeah.
So, do you guys think that... Okay, well, my question was, do you think the last voice was her? So we already know it was her. But do you think, furthermore, that was, like, she was just kind of displayed Taylor's nature of, like, putting on a performance to appeal... Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fully believe she still hates and is afraid of Ingrid.
Yeah, totally. See, I feel like the more we even talk about this, because that is cool. I didn't realize it was her voice.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I wish we had, like, 5 more minutes at the end of this movie. Like, I wish we saw the actual aftermath of it, not just in the hospital room, but, like, of her living that life and of Taylor being fake to her, and of her, like, having gone through this growth and being like, oh, this is all bullshit. Like, I wish we had a little bit more of that. And
but I think, like, it's supposed to then be up to our interpretation. Like, it is almost like, it kind of leaves you with a philosophical question of, are humans capable of change?
Yeah, but I hate that. This is what I was saying. This is
Marco,
why...
use your brain. You studied philosophy.
I do, and I like philosophy, but I don't need my movies to leave me with a question, bro. Like... This is why I was, like, going so hard in the paint for Kid Detective, is because I like how that movie fucking has a definitive ending. This is our stance. This is what I'm trying to say. And I think this movie is trying to say the same kind of idea of that, like, she changed and now has everything that she wants, and the irony of that, and the irony of, like, now being in that position. But, like, I just wish there was a bit more time there. Like, I feel like we could, like, just literally 5 minutes. Just to see it a bit more. It's the same problem I had with
like
James Bond.
an after credit scene.
Sure.
Of, like, her meeting Taylor at, like, a store.
Yeah, I think this movie could have done well with, like, a Where Are They Now epilogue.
Totally. Yeah. Like, or even not to have her wake up in the hospital room, but, like, cut to, like, a further time when she is just an influencer and is probably dating O'Shea Jackson and is friends with Taylor, and maybe she opens her phone and she makes a comment about someone that's been, like, commenting on her shit or whatever, and it's like,
I was gonna say, or even like, as dumb as it is, like, it could have been while the credits are rolling, we see her new Instagram feed or something, and then in that you see her interactions with all of these people and the comments and whatever.
Yeah, I agree, and I understand, like, I totally get what you're saying, that, like, this ending makes the movie more artful. Like, I get that, but I also don't give a shit. Like, I don't... This is, like, the thing that I hate most about quote-unquote good movies, is, like, you can provide satisfaction and answers without being cheesy or, like, fan servicey, quote-unquote. Like, just because you're answering something doesn't mean you're giving fan service or that you're giving a cheesy ending, and just because something is predictable doesn't mean it's bad. Like, if it's predictable but well executed and fits the narrative, then that's a good thing. Like, it doesn't have to be this thing of, like, we're just gonna edit out the last 5 minutes and you just figure it out. Like, just show it. Like, just show her, like, just a little bit more breathing room. Like, I just, and in general, even with the question, even if the question was answered, I made the same complaint when we talked about No Time to Die, but I just like having a little bit of breathing room at the end of the movie. Just a tad.
Oh, like where it doesn't end on the final action.
Yeah, like that movie happens, and it's like, it does resolve. Like, everything resolves.
Yeah.
But it resolves in 75 seconds, and then and we cut the credits. And similar with this, it's like she wakes up, and he's there, and then we cut the credits. And, like, I get that as a film technique, but I think the only movie I've ever seen that's done that I liked was Whiplash, which I know I'm bringing up for the second week in a row, but Whiplash literally ends with
When are we going to do Whiplash?
Hopefully soon. I fucking
That's a
love
good
that
fuck-
movie.
that's a great
I
movie to talk
remember
about.
nothing about it, so it'll be like
Oh
I'm
my
watching
God.
it fresh.
It's fantastic. What a year 2014 was for movies.
Oh man,
What a
that was
great...
one of the best recent
Oh my god.
cinematic years.
Incredible year for film. But anyway, like, that movie ends with the drum solo. There's literally no dialogue. It's like a 10-minute drum solo, and the movie ends. And it ends at that, like, heightened point. But that's, like, one of the few movies that does that I like. For the most part, I want some type of falling action. I want some type of ending. And maybe that's the person in me that only got into films because I was into books, and so I watched a lot of adaptations, because books always have way more of a drawn out resolution. So like when movies don't have that, it really rubs me the wrong way. And so like, yeah, for this movie to just have it kind of end and be like, you get it, you get what we're saying, right? I'm like, yeah, but like I could have used 5 minutes. So I don't know.
Well, here's another way to think about this ending specifically, though, that I didn't even think about this last night. This was like just in our discussion right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Nice.
she receives all of these followers, and she's like the new Taylor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was like, that might be the punishment for her, which would further help her like drive home her lesson, even if it's off screen, like we don't see that,
Right.
I mean, that would definitely also lead to, if anything, more growth. But again, we wouldn't see it. Like, that's just something you have to put together in your head.
Yeah.
But I think, now that I think about it, that might be what they're trying to go for, rather than just her reverting back to square one of being a desperate social media user trying to attain a friendship online that is like fruitless.
Sure, I think you're probably right. I think that probably is what they're trying to go for.
But I don't know, because like I get the whole obviously thought behind it is that like social media and the way we use it is like ultimately bad. But for us to know, or even like to us like guess that is her like quote unquote punishment, like that I guess assumes that we really understood like what the movie was trying to say, because like when we leave her, she's like obviously very pleased. Like by the time it like becomes a punishment, it'll be like so far into the future.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like,
Yeah.
In that sense, still, I guess the movie would have ended too soon, even for that interpretation.
Yeah.
But I think the point, like, I don't have the problem that this movie wasn't trying to say something, even if the ending was very ambiguous.
Yeah.
I think personally, I've arrived at like, it was just that ending was trying to say like she will be probably like stalked by fans in turn.
Yeah.
And she will be the new, like, she will learn what she's done to like Taylor and Charlotte, I think was the influencer before, at the beginning of the movie. Like, so that kind of works for me, I think. I do sort of agree with you about like the whole ambiguous ending thing, how it can be like irksome sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm still I'm not really 100% sure about where I sit with it, but yeah, I mean, just because like in this discussion that just sort of came into my mind right now, it's kind of like, okay, that'll do for now. But I agree with both of your points for sure, and I wanted to bring it up because that was a very important aspect to talk about. So
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and I don't think this movie is even like, I would say this is like a 75% there ending. Like there is that ambiguity, like that 25%, but it's not. I mean, there are some movies that just end and you're like, okay, thanks, I guess. Like this isn't that. Like this very clearly.
do you have an example?
Not off the top of my head, but the movies that I don't like. Mother. I'll just put Mother out there. I don't really remember how Mother ended, but let's say Mother.
Actually, okay, not to insult this film, but I did get a little bit of a Mother vibe with the whole like recursion thing.
Yes. Oh, that's right. That is how Mother ends. Is that it's all
yeah, and even like
all
we
loop.
start with that one influencer and we see the process of this second cycle.
God.
Anyway, not to like, I don't want to insult the movie
That's
by
hilarious.
comparing
Yeah,
it to
I
Mother,
don't think
but
you can compare every like movie that has a cyclical plot to Mother.
No, a lot of movies have that.
it's just the new Mother.
It is the new Mother. But I think the biggest thing for me isn't even necessarily the last scene, but it's almost like I wish that the conversation with Elizabeth Olsen and her before she tries to kill herself. Like, I just felt like maybe even something there was a little bit missing to set up what changes in her for then when she wakes up and she has these fans, for it to be the ending you're talking about. Like, I totally buy that maybe what they're trying to say is like, oh, now she's going to learn what she did to other people. But after leaving the conversation with Elizabeth Olsen, I don't think she understood what she was doing to other people as much as she just felt bad that she didn't have this person anymore. So I feel like if in that conversation there was a bit more of an emphasis on like, do you realize what you're doing and like how much you've impacted our lives and whatever, and then to have this ending of her being famous now, I would have bought that more as like a 100% not ambiguous ending of like, this is her punishment. But because the Elizabeth Olsen one, she just kind of leaves that and is sad she doesn't have a friend anymore. I think that is the missing piece for me personally. Of like, if that was a little bit different, then that ending makes a bit more sense to me. But I mean, you know, what are you gonna do?
Well, I also think it could have benefited from like, even if that last shot, she didn't look happy about it.
Yeah.
Somehow,
Yeah.
if they could have conveyed that in a different way.
Yeah.
That was less like her. Like, that was more so her dreading what she knew would come from her interactions with Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
Well,
What
it's
are you gonna do?
especially
It's still a
because,
good
like,
movie.
I guess, are we assuming that her goal when she picks an influencer is to be their friend or to become a similar influencer? Because, like, that, like, I guess it's kind of both, but, like,
I think
because
it's
she,
both.
like, dyes her hair to, like, look exactly like her, like, when she gets to LA and, like, shops at all of her stores and, like, she kind of, like, tries to become a clone.
Yeah, I think it all comes from admiration. She
Yeah.
both wants to spend time with them, but also just admires who they are and wants to like become them.
Yeah, there's a little bit of the crossing of the messages there, because I think there is some of it that is trying to change herself so that way like this person will let them let
That's
her
a part
into
of it,
them
too.
their lives.
Yeah.
It's like it's suggesting that this whole culture only mingles with their own like
Correct.
yeah.
But then I think there is also the thing of once she's there, like not being a person in and of herself, and so she's just constantly creating herself for whatever situation she needs. So I don't know if it's as much as like, I'm obsessed with you, Elizabeth Olsen, and I want to kill you and be you, as much as it's more like I'm not she's not a human. Like, she just is constantly changing herself to fit into whatever situation she needs to be in.
Yeah.
Which I guess then, even going back to her relationship, like, that makes sense of why she would be so gung-ho to wear this stupid Catwoman outfit and have sex. Is because she's literally just changing herself to try and fit in places.
It even goes back to the scene where she's at the diner that she thought Taylor would be at, and she tries the food and she just hates it.
Yeah.
So she gets like McDonald's afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She clearly doesn't necessarily like the lifestyle, but she's just going with it to try and gain the attention of
To try and have friends.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah.
a very
very sad.
very sad high school thing that everyone has done, but
Not to the extent of
no, not
Yeah.
Ingrid, but yeah.
Yeah. We all learned that lesson a lot earlier in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not full-grown adults.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of like, I mean, I don't wish this would have happened because it would have, like, not fit into the movie at all. But it would have been interesting to even, I guess, like, think about what she was like in, like, high school or, like, elementary school. Like, how does a person like that function day to day with their peers?
Yeah, because high
Because,
school
like, at
is,
this point, you're out of school, so she isn't forced to interact with anyone. So that's why it is kind of like her and whatever, like, influencer she chooses. And
Yeah.
she does have just that one relationship in her life, and that's kind of it. So it'd be
You're right,
interesting to
'cause-
see what happens when she's around other people all the time.
Yeah.
and high school is like a subset of the world that's like even more like if she was struggling to find a friend or relationship in the real world, like high school is like a condensed version of that.
Yeah.
Like you have
Totally.
to work in group projects and just make friends in general, and it's like it can be really hard and
Totally.
stressful. So that would be interesting to see
Yeah.
how that went for her.
Yeah.
Not in the
you're right.
movie, but just in general.
No, I mean just like
'Cause
to
it would be-
think about. Yeah,
in the
It would never
prequel. Let's
fit
write
in.
the prequel.
Yeah.
Ingrid Goes East.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say,
But I don't think
what's
she
another
goes,
direction?
just Ingrid is East.
Oh my god. Yeah, and the closest we ever get to any of that kind of info is she just makes passing comments about how her mom was her only friend or whatever.
Yeah.
Which again adds fuel to the fire of like, so then when her mom dies, that's why she doesn't.
Yeah.
You're right.
She's not adjusted to the world, and that's what really sets her off. But yeah.
I also have a note going back to the whole Batman thing. So
you're welcome to. Let's do it.
So in the date scene when when O'Shea Jackson Jr. is talking about how much he likes, or why he likes Batman so much, and he talks about like the fact that he's one of the only superheroes, or one of the only main superheroes that doesn't have like any superpowers or anything. Everything special about him comes from within him.
Yeah.
And I just think, aside from all the humor that like all the Batman stuff creates, it's also just like a great message of the movie of like,
yes,
Ingrid only needs to look inside herself to find what she's after.
Yes.
So I love that. Like,
too bad she didn't get the message.
Yeah, but I did, or we did.
We all did. Yeah. No, I like that. I like I alluded to earlier. Just even the fact that like someone would actually care about Batman enough to write that scene, because like most people, again, with just a cursory knowledge of Batman, would be like, oh, if he likes Batman, he must be like a angsty, like whatever. But no, he's just like a nice guy.
Yeah.
That like appreciates the fact that Batman is just like a person trying to do the right thing or whatever. So like I really like that scene as a Batman fan. But yeah, the way it plays into the theme of the movie is very nice as well. Yeah, it's like it's just the thing that like all good writing should do, of like it's the B plot of the movie, but the B plot like reinforces the theme of the A plot. So like that's what it does, and it's really great. And yeah, the fact that they're able to use the Batman stuff for both humor and actual important plot stuff is really cool. Like that they switch between the two, so it's not just this random thing that's like an inside joke. Like it fundamentally matters to the movie that he likes Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, even I think like all the stuff before that movie, it's like, or before that scene, it's like it could just be like, oh, this is a weird like side plot that's humorous, but it's like, okay, it's kind of random. But then that scene reinforces like why this is part of the movie.
Yeah, totally.
It's great.
It's very good.
I need to pee. I was waiting for a pause in the conversation. Be right back.
Go for it.
I can pay you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, stranger it feels, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom.
So what were you talking about before you left?
We had just finished up the Batman thing about when they were at the date.
So, okay, I want to quickly talk about, we haven't really talked about Wyatt Russell's character yet.
Okay,
I think he was actually one of the most interesting characters in the movie, though.
Me too.
I would say we haven't really talked about any characters
Anyone
other than
beside
Ingrid and
Ingrid
Daniel.
And Daniel, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I think they're the two that have the most going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Taylor has quite a bit going on.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Well, yeah, we talked about Taylor, though, and, like, in her relationship with Ingrid, I think. But, like...
Yeah. And, I mean, she is just, like, a typical, like, social media influencer. There, like, you really say that, and, like, there isn't much else to fill in.
Yeah, I mean, just fill in the gap. Like, she
But Elizabeth Olsen I always get a lisp when I try to say that. I can't believe that's happened twice. Anyway.
Nice.
You know why? It's because of TH at the end of her first name.
Yeah, no, you're 100. When I try to say it fast, I do the same thing. Yeah. Scarlet Witch.
She's really
Wanda
good
Maximoff.
at playing your typical social media influencer. Very believable.
Yeah.
She's
I mean,
really
everyone's
good
good in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love Elizabeth Olsen. I almost did it too. I almost did the list too. No, I mean, like, I've, you know, I remember when she first showed up in the MCU, I was kind of like, why did they cast this one random Olsen nobody knows about?
Yeah.
But, like, seeing her, like, in a lot of stuff since then, she's great in everything I've ever seen her in, and I just love when she pops up and stuff. I think she's a really great actress, so.
And even, like, her role in this movie is very fitting because she has, obviously, her two twin sisters.
Yeah.
Who are just, like ruined by their time as, like, like, they were in, Full House, right?
Yeah, child actors, yeah.
Child actors, yes.
Yeah.
Like, literally as babies.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
obviously that was very, like, destructive for them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
so-
either of them are on any social media at all anymore. Like, they kind of
Probably
disappeared.
not. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I
just
yeah,
feel so bad for them because, like,
Yeah.
starting at such a young age, it can be very damaging.
totally.
Just to be in the spotlight in general. I mean, we've all watched BoJack Horseman, so.
Oh my god, yeah.
But yeah, so very
Sarah Lynn.
Yeah, very fitting for her character though. But yeah, also back to Wyatt Russell's character. I think
He's a great artist. So good.
Oh my god. Guys, I forgot what his art was, and the audible laugh I had when I saw his shitty wall art was like the funniest thing I've ever experienced. It was incredible.
It's so funny because like they walked into the room to show Ingrid the art, and he's clearly so embarrassed by his own stuff. Like, we learn later that it's because it's like she's the one like pushing him to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So looking back on that scene after finding that out, it's very funny. He's like, he doesn't want to be there. He's just like,
I like when she's like, "Oh, so do you paint the backgrounds too?" And he's like, "No, those are thrifted. I really just kind of put the words on."
No, the word he said was, "Those are found content."
Yeah, found content.
Yeah.
Like, so he literally goes to a thrift store, gets paintings, just for the audience if they haven't seen it, and just writes like a word over top of it, like a hashtag, or something, just a random.
But also the
random
paintings,
word, and that's it.
Like, it'll just be a painting of horses, and it'll say like squad. Like it is so stupid. Like there's nothing to it.
It's
But
ironic.
It is. Okay, so I want to talk about something that made me laugh really hard, which is, so in decorating my house, I've had lots
Like
of
this house?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've had lots of conversations with Madison about how much we both don't really like a lot of the wall art that people have.
Of just like scenic views or something.
Of scenic, not even scenic views, but it'll be like a nice piece of wall art with just like the most generic fortune cookie thing on it.
Like,
You know what I mean?
Love,
Where-
love.
Yes, like live. And so we
Got it.
Her and I had talked about the idea of like, wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if we made like the most intentionally stupid, basically the art in this movie, like where it's like this has nothing to do with anything, and just present it as if it's like art that we like, but it's just like a quote
And
from
just
like
see
the
if
B
anyone
movie.
to your face is honest about how dumb it is.
Yes, like just have like a beautiful like Monet painting with a quote from the B movie over top, and just like put it and like attribute it to Barry B. Benson, and just see if like anyone says anything. So the fact that like when you get to the scene in the movie, that's essentially what he's doing. Like, it made me laugh so hard. Like, I was like, wow, this is incredible. Like, what an inspired choice. But the other thing, I know last week we talked about like the production design on Kid Detective with like the inside joke of the
door.
The door.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night.
Yeah, like with this, like whoever came up with what his art would look like, because they don't like make reference to what it literally looks like other than that one line, which could have even been an improv line. Like, there's nothing in the script that would have to say like his art specifically looks like this. So whoever decided that this was the shitty art that he does, props to them. I think it was a brilliant, incredibly funny choice to do that.
Yeah, and even like the set design, now that you bring it up, set design in this movie in general is really good. Like, towards the end of the movie when Ingrid's just like holed up in, like, she buys that property next to Taylor's in Joshua Tree. Yeah. Again, to try and get close to her. And like the set design of like how run down that place looks. Maybe that's, I mean, they could have just found it that way, to be fair. But I'm assuming not. It's really impressive.
Yeah. It is crazy, like how all these movies we talked about, but I guess this one especially, how good everything looks, considering that they're indie movies.
Yeah.
Like, they are just like really wonderfully, not even just shot, but like we're saying with the production design, it's like, oh, this feels very real and lived in and like particular and everything. Like, props to them for that. It's a very, very good job.
Yeah, I mean, they look good, they're colored really well, they're shot well, they're acted well, and all on this like, I wouldn't go as far to say minuscule budget, but they're very modestly budgeted movies, so that's always impressive. I do have a question though, or maybe I should save this. Well, I have a question that I'll save to the end. Do you guys have anything else to like say before that, specifics or general?
Because we only talked about Wyatt Russell's art, I kind of have a question because I don't exactly remember.
Okay.
Was he with Taylor before she like blew up? Because I remember
Yes.
there was a scene, by the pool where he was talking to Ingrid, and like he was kind of drunk and kind of like saying like, not that he was like miserable, but it seemed like he wasn't entirely happy in the relationship, and like I think I remember him alluding that she like changed or whatever. Is that correct? Is that
100%.
memory right? Okay.
You hit the nail on
Just
the head
making
with
sure.
that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Going back to Wyatt Russell, though, I do think it is kind of interesting how he is like a sort of low-key alcoholic through this whole movie. Like, he is constantly drinking in this movie, and like
Hey,
every
you gotta
scene
cope
that he's
somehow.
in. Yeah, but then he also has some really funny lines, especially when the brother shows up. The brother who is the biggest scumbag, who is played by Billy Magnuson, I think the actor's name is.
I think so.
And he's been in a lot of stuff too. Like, he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Game Night?
Yes.
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
That's
good.
for sure. It is good. It's funny. It's very
Like,
funny.
he's
heard
in
it
that.
was.
That's literally why I brought it up.
Yeah. But like when he shows up and Wyatt Russell is basically calling him out for, he's like, aren't you supposed to be sober? Because like he's not, obviously not. And then also just like,
I like when he's like, oh, I gotta go get another beer. Sorry to interrupt that racist joke.
yes, I was just, that is like one of my favorite scenes in this whole movie. Yeah, that was really, really good. And then the only other thing with Wyatt Russell that I thought was cool is how there's that scene that I really like where he's basically shit talking some like art exhibit or something, or like,
Oh yeah.
and then the brother is like, but that you're just saying that because like you're not a successful artist. But like if
he
you
said like if they exhibited your art, you wouldn't be saying that.
exactly,
Yeah.
and like I love that because that is so true. I feel like of like the quote unquote starving artist that's like, well, no, like I have artistic integrity, and like you're all selling out, and you're even seeing now. I think the reverse of that with like Francis Ford Coppola being like, fuck Marvel movies, and I'm like, bro, like if you want to make an artistic movie, you are literally the director of like inarguably like what most people consider to be the best movie of
The
all
perfect
time.
movie, yeah.
Go make whatever the shit you want, dude. You don't need to like call people out and pretend like you have so much artistic integrity. Like,
Yeah,
come on,
just-
grow up.
As long as you don't kill another animal on camera.
Yeah, and then lie about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
In Apocalypse Now,
Have you ever seen Apocalypse Now?
No.
Okay.
you would
Don't watch
hate
it.
Apocalypse Now. I think it would be like if we made like I've thought about wanting to watch it and talk about it because there's a lot
On
to
the
talk
show?
about. Yeah. But I think, Carol, like, you might actually kill us if we made you watch it. You would despise
Ooh.
Apocalypse Now.
Let me put it in
Interesting.
perspective. I loved the movie up until the last. I think it was literally the last shot, and then I was like, I hate this movie,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
I know literally nothing about it.
Yeah, I don't either,
Except
and
the
I've seen it
title.
twice. I still don't know anything about it.
Have you ever seen the documentary about it?
We watched it together, I think.
Did we? No, I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
The documentary? No.
Yeah, no, I've seen Hearts of Darkness. It's like a full hour-and-a-half long one.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I thought we watched it. We should watch it together if you haven't seen it. It's good.
We watched the movie together.
We did watch the movie together. But yeah, the documentary is very good, and that movie was wild. Like, Martin Sheen had a heart attack halfway through
yeah.
filming, and Francis Ford Coppola was, like, also dying, because, like, he just was...
I think they all the setting was so.
It was so
humid
brutal.
and-
Yeah, I've heard it was just... It's one of the famously, like, worst movie shoots of all time. Like, I would say the only reason, Carol, you might bother watching the movie would just be to watch the documentary about the making of the movie after. Because, like, that is
so I was literally
fascinating.
about to ask, could I watch the documentary without watching
Without
the
ever
movie?
having seen the movie.
You could, but I just feel like seeing the movie gives
Yeah,
even more
yeah.
context.
No,
But like
fair,
you
totally fair.
could see it. It's crazy. Like and Marlon Brando and all the stuff that happened with him. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about Apocalypse? Oh, because artistic integrity and
Yeah.
like the brother pretending to have artistic
Oh, yeah.
integrity. Yeah.
No, Wyatt Russell pretending to have it.
Yes, right. Wyatt Russell pretending
Yeah.
to have artistic integrity.
The brother
Yeah.
doesn't pretend to have anything except not a drug problem.
Yes.
Good point.
Good burn. That was very, very on
Got
point.
him.
Yeah.
One more thing about Wyatt Russell, though, I thought it was really interesting of how, like, over the course of the movie, it looks like he's starting to bond with Ingrid because he's, like you said, Carol,
Yeah.
he's like
Yeah.
frustrated with his relationship with Taylor, so he like kind of confides in her with that a little bit
Yeah.
in the pool scene. But then at the end, it's like a hard 180 of like, I don't care what bond we built. Like that was fucked to kidnap.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I hate
like,
Taylor's
it
brother.
was
Yeah.
fair.
Oh yeah, but it was just this really good like dose of reality out of like it seemingly to Ingrid it would have been out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But
I
also,
like that
how
as well.
fucked is it of her brother to like know this information? Like he has learned for a fact that Ingrid is essentially a stalker. Like he knows that, and
Oh,
instead
yeah.
of warning his sister,
Yes.
he's like, "No, I need money from you to like keep it a secret."
Mm-hmm.
So if she paid him, would he actually never tell her and just let her sister continue living this life with this stalker?
Probably.
It's like you're not trying to protect your
that's so
sister. You're just
fucked.
trying to get money out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean,
God,
he's a
he's
piece of
such a
shit. Yeah.
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 I hate him so much.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the worst. He's absolutely the worst. But I also like, I mean, we touched a little bit upon the kidnapping of him.
Yeah.
But that was one of those things where watching it, you're kind of like, oh, like, how far is this going to go? Like, similar to, I think, Promising Young Woman, where you're kind of like,
Yeah.
what's the inevitable outcome of this? Like, is she...
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, once she's done it, you're like, okay, so either everything is going to be ruined for her, or she has to kill him. Like, there is no,
Yeah.
like, going back from this. And even though it's, like, a comedic scene, it is also very tense, because you're like, is she actually going to... Is she going to go straight up Joe from you and, like,
Yeah.
take it that far and kill him to protect this lie? Or, like...
Well, actually, it reminded me of Breaking Bad.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Don't lie, folks. It'll just lead to murder.
It always does.
Always, every single time.
Yeah.
Okay, I have that. Do you have anything else to say before I ask this? Before I
I'm
post
ready for the question.
All right.
I
You guys-
have some miscellaneous,
Oh,
very,
okay, go
very,
for it.
a very few things to throw.
Wait, is
out.
this
No,
like
go
the
for it.
end with this question?
I mean, kind of, because you maybe you already guessed it, but it has to do with the past 3 episodes. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
ask which one you
Okay.
guys would rather.
Okay,
watch.
so I'll say
If
my
you weren't
fun
gonna ask that,
facts
I was,
before.
So I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. If you have anything else to say,
You go
like,
first,
for it.
Carol. You go first.
Okay. So I found the most fun fact. I laughed out loud when I read it. It's horrible. I'm horrible, just like for the record, for doing that.
Okay.
But sorry, I don't know if I'm gonna even be able to read this. Okay. The production was delayed by some setbacks when director Matt Spicer accidentally walked through a sliding glass door after yelling "cut."
What?
I did. I heard about
Gaffers
that.
had to remove fragments of glass from his arm with duct tape.
No way.
Like, that's just like from, like, it's such a farce. Like, who actually walks through a glass door?
Yeah, that's
and
like
like
a-
how embarrassing.
That's literally a joke in one episode of Curb. Like,
Literally.
like that happens to someone, and then his girlfriend can never see him the same because she's like, "How could you ever walk through a glass
Well, it's
door?"
like The Office, where Michael walks through the glass door.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
That's so sad.
That's
but,
fantastic.
I found it really funny because I just didn't think it actually like happened in real life, but it did. So sorry, Matt Spicer. Glad you're okay. Also, Bill Murray's listed in the very special thanks section of the credits. Why? You'd think there's no connection, and there isn't really. He just gave Aubrey Plaza a sweater when they were filming a movie together in 2012, and she
Nice.
was sick, and she wore the sweater in a couple scenes of the film, and that's
Aw.
literally it.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, nice of her to thank him for that, and remember that this like specific item of clothing came from him.
That's sweet. She seems like a cool person.
Yeah. I mean,
Sure,
if I got
and so does
something-
Bill Murray. So
If I ever received an item from Bill Murray, I'd probably remember it for the rest of my life.
true,
So.
true that.
True. And yeah, that was pretty much it. There was nothing else that was like that interesting, or I already mentioned it. So
All right, guys. Here are my miscellaneous notes. First of all, again, can't be said enough. And the note I took was that I liked seeing Ice Cube's son in this as much as I like seeing Ice Cube in the 21 Jump Street movies. Like, just his inclusion every time he popped up, I was like, yes, I'm glad you're on screen right now. They both, I think, have that great charisma. When Ingrid goes to the diner to eat for the first time, and the waiter walks up and says, "What's your biggest emotional wound? It's our question of the day." And just like that as a joke on like LA and
Yeah.
Hollywood, and like how everyone is super like in tune with their feelings or whatever. I thought that was very, very funny. I need to borrow your truck. Oh, the Batmobile? No can do. My table read is tomorrow night. Just like that sentence, I thought was just,
There's so much loaded into that sentence.
and that was the sentence that made me go like, this movie's a personal affront to me. When Elizabeth Olsen is like, ever since I convinced him to quit his job and become an artist full time, he's been like, I don't know, super weird about money. I thought that was very funny. Just again, because she has like no concept of reality anymore. Missed opportunity to have Kissed by a Rose play in his truck, as we already touched upon. Very unfortunate. They should have done that. Okay, we didn't talk, I don't think, enough about the sex scene. This was another one of my notes. Because this is, I think, one of the funniest staged, shot, and edited scenes I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's like laying on the bed, and they're like shooting him, and they cut to her, and she like comes out in the Catwoman costume and is trying to be sexy, but is really just throwing herself against the wall because she has no idea how to be sexy. And they cut back and forth between them a few times, and he's just like watching her, and then they cut to him one time, and he just kind of goes and like motions with his hand as if he actually is finding this sexy.
Yeah. Oh, he is.
Because he is. And then they start having sex, and then she says, "Fuck me, Bruce." She calls him Bruce.
He probably asked her to.
Yes. And then he says, and I wrote this down, "Tell me Gotham needs me." Which
Oh my God,
like,
yes.
I was in tears this entire scene. I was like, this is the greatest joke of like a Batman fan having sex ever. Like, this is incredible. So
Not to be weird, but I was thinking of you the whole time watching that scene. I'm like,
I don't know how
you're gonna love this.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was fantastic.
I was too, for the record.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not? Like, me being the Batman fan I am.
It's just a weird sentence to have to say. Like, watching this sex scene, I was thinking about you, my friend, the whole time.
Watching this incredibly uncomfortable sex scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, normally when there's a sex scene in a movie, you're like, does this need to be in the movie? Like,
yes.
This is very gratuitous. But this is one of the only cases where I've been like, okay, that was really enjoyable for other reasons.
Yes. Well, you don't even see any. Like, it's not even.
No, it's
there's
not
no
even really a
nudity.
sex
It's
scene, like-
it's more about the humor of it, which is why it's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, Carol, it's time we pay off the joke that I set up at the top of this podcast.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because I set up a joke. I don't even remember what I said to set it up. And
Just like the screenwriter that you are.
yes,
set
just
up some payoffs.
set up and pay off. We're calling it back at the end of the episode. So a line I wrote down that I thought was funny, and I thought it was funny for two reasons. Okay, the line is. Like Elizabeth Olsen says, because she has taken a picture of her dog or something, and she refers to her dog as her muse. She says, "My muse." Okay?
Oh, no.
Which...
Does this have to do with TikTok?
Yes, but forget about that for a sec. Let's just talk about the fact that, like, her dog is her muse, which I just think is, like, so stupid. Like, of course that's something she would say. But yes, unfortunately in this movie about social media, we have to pay off the fact that currently the biggest trend on TikTok is... Julia Fox? Is that her name?
Yes. I don't actually know who she is or like what she does, but
okay. She
but I do know that she was Josh Safdie's muse in Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems.
So would you, because everyone's like, would you consider yourself Ye's muse?
Yeah, a little, maybe.
What does it even mean to no one that's ever been? Because I remember you were like, this is not the first time that I like. What is a muse?
I mean, I was Josh Safdie's muse when he wrote Uncut Gems.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like things like that. Like I think
I haven't
She
seen
says
the
it
movie,
really
so-
weird, and also
I haven't seen
who
Uncut
the
Gems
fuck
either,
is
but,
she
like-
to be claiming she was their muse
Yes.
in Uncut Gems.
She was on this podcast called
I don't even know what podcast it was.
is it that Call
Her Daddy?
What? Call Her Daddy?
Okay.
I don't even know. It's some weird podcast. But anyway, she is currently dating Kanye West.
Oh.
And so the interviewer, you know what? We should just watch the clip together. After this, I'll pull up the clip and we'll watch it. But the interviewer says, like,
So I guess I do know more about her. He just got her and all her friends Birkin bags, like
There you
in Gilmore Girls.
yeah.
Sorry, Dan, you haven't gotten there. Spoiler
okay.
alert.
Dan, TikTok and Gilmore, this conversation is just like, but yeah.
This
so
is all gibberish.
Uncut Gems.
in Uncle Gems, the interviewer says, like, "Are you Ye's muse?"
Oh.
And then she says, "Yeah, maybe a little." And then the interviewer says, "Okay, what is a muse?" And then her response is, well,
I mean, I was Josh Safdie's muse when he wrote Uncut Gems.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like things like
Right.
that. Like I think
but when she says Uncut Gems, like, it is like
Something happens to her mouth. I don't know
something
what.
happens to her mouth and voice where she, like, it does not sound like a human, like, it doesn't sound normal. And so
But I
it has
mean, like,
become...
for context, she is also just like a typical like influencer Valley girl type of voice, so it's not that much of a stretch.
I can picture it.
We will watch it because it's very
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
And after the fact, she's now come out and said that she was, like, incredibly high when she filmed this, which I'm like, okay, whatever.
Okay,
but,
that
like,
makes sense.
I just thought, and it's the biggest trend all over TikTok right now. Like, literally, I cannot scroll through
Yeah.
2 videos without someone making an Uncut Gems joke, like, in that voice. So the fact that she referred to the dog as her muse when I was watching this movie, I was like, this has been perfectly timed in our rewatch schedule for this joke.
If
to
I
be allowed.
rewatched this movie like yesterday, like you guys, I probably would have been able to guess what your joke was gonna be.
Yes, I would have figured. Yeah, it's a good thing you didn't, because you probably would have made the same note. You probably would have been like, muse. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say, like, I thought you were going towards the idea that everyone who uses the word muse doesn't really know what it means.
yeah, a little, maybe.
That too. I mean, that is definitely. I don't know what the word.
I
muse
also don't
means.
really know what it.
Isn't
what
it just
means,
like
really.
an inspiration?
I mean, I was Josh Safdie's muse when he wrote Uncut Gems.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like things like
Right.
that. Like I think
I think so, but I don't know.
I think I've also heard it in the context of, like, this is the only thing that could defeat me, of, like, this is my weakness or something.
Oh, interesting. I don't think I've heard it in that context.
I don't think I have either.
Like, I've only heard it in, like, an artistic context, but
Yeah,
also like
same.
I don't know to what degree is someone's muse. Like, can an inanimate object be a muse? Does muse imply that you're, like, have a relationship with the person? Like, I don't understand.
I think it does.
It's a Horcrux. Yeah. Oh my god.
I think it
Yeah.
has to be a interpersonal relationship, but that's based on no real knowledge. That's
Well,
just
I mean-
my gut feeling.
Okay, so given this information, is it appropriate that Elizabeth Olsen calls the dog her muse? Yes
No.
or no?
No,
Okay.
I don't think. I know. Yeah.
All right, we've settled it.
At least according to Julia Fox, who was Josh Safdie's muse when he wrote Uncut Gems. I don't think. Yeah. I also love that was her explanation of her definition of the word muse was just
like,
to
was
use
she
it in a
dating him
sentence.
when
That's
he
what I
wrote
mean.
it? Like, is that why?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna look it up. I'm just gonna keep watching the TikTok. I don't
Yeah.
need any more information.
I'll pull up the clip. We'll screen share it and watch it
Yeah.
after this
Cool.
because you guys,
Oh,
yeah,
so good.
you need to
Yeah,
see it. It's so good.
I'll be there.
it's
Usually
so
I'm
good.
like, no, I gotta go. I'll stay for this.
yeah, we gotta watch this one. Okay, Dan, you can now ask your question now
Yeah.
that I've suitably derailed everything with this Julia Fox conversation.
All right, so tying these last few episodes together into a nice little bow, the question is simple. If you had to pick one of these movies to watch forever, which one would it be?
Okay, can I ask the parameters of this question a little bit?
Sure.
Do the other 2 movies, do we never get to watch them again? Like,
I guess the question is, like, which one would you prefer to watch over the other ones?
okay, fair enough.
I guess I
So
worded
just
it
what
kinda
was your
weird.
favorite?
What was your favorite of the 3? Yeah.
Okay, but can we also do? I wish we could just answer the fucking question. Can we also? Can we?
Is it like
can
a
we all-
fuck, marry, kill scenario? Like what?
Yeah.
What are
Hey,
we
that's a
doing
good
here?
idea.
Oh, we actually could do fuck, marry, kill with these 3,
There's 3 of them.
but also like. Anyway, okay, so should we say which one is our favorite, but then also which one we think is the best?
Sure.
Because I have
that's a
2
good
different
idea.
answers. For
Okay.
that, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do
that's
that.
good.
okay, who wants to start?
I need a second.
Okay, do you want to go or
Do you have your answer?
I do.
Why don't you start?
Okay. I think Kid Detective is my favorite because that is the one. When I think about the next 10 years of my life, I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch Ingrid Goes West again unless like someone hasn't seen it. I don't know if I would watch Promising Young Woman unless someone hasn't seen it. But like I could see myself popping in Kid Detective just to have fun. But I think Promising Young Woman is the best just in terms of the combination of like filmmaking and subject matter. Like I don't think like Kid Detective is not important other than like don't be a man child. Like, but that's not really an important message. That's more just like, oh yeah, I'll keep that in the back of my mind. Like I feel like Promising Young Woman and Ingrid Goes West have actual things to say, but of the two, I think Promising Young Woman is the better movie. So I would say Promising Young Woman is probably the overall best movie, but Kid Detective is my favorite.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have your answers yet?
I do now, yeah.
Okay, do you want to go?
So, I think similarly, yeah, I agree Promising Young Woman is the best, in my opinion. And I was debating also naming it my favorite, but because it is, like, so heavy and just, like, makes me feel so many things, like, I don't know if I can say that. It's like a movie that just fills me with rage. Can that be my favorite? So, like, just keeping that in mind, I think my favorite would be Ingrid Goes West. Because, like, if I did have to pick out of the three a movie to, like, just pop on and watch again, it would probably be Ingrid Goes West. Just because it doesn't, you know, make me want to cry and scream and punch a hole in the wall like an angry teenager. So.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, to round out these answers, I would also pick Promising Young Woman as the
Nice.
best, like,
Oh,
objectively.
Emerald.
Yeah.
I think it is, like you said, like, it's crafted really well, and also the message is very important.
Yeah.
It definitely has the most important message out of these three movies. I was trying to decide, so would I rather watch Ingrid Goes West or Kid Detective? And I think I'm going to go with Ingrid Goes West. I loved Kid Detective.
Interesting.
But, like, I don't think I would... It would take me longer to get tired of Ingrid Goes West, I think. Just a bit more.
Because, like, not only... like
only
it's,
slightly.
It's nice because it's, like... It's a fun movie despite being obviously, like, kind of fucked.
And it's
Yeah.
funny, like,
Visually
very
appealing.
often
Yeah,
funny.
like, when you're watching it, it still feels, like, lighthearted.
Yeah,
in a
totally,
weird
totally.
way. So it's, like,
I mean,
good
so
to
does Kid
rewatch.
Detective. Until a certain
Yeah.
point.
Until a certain
Yeah, a little, maybe.
point.
That one
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
a lot darker, too.
Yeah.
Which probably contributed to my decision a little bit. But, yeah, in the end, I think I would probably choose Ingrid Goes West as the most enjoyable one, Promising Young Woman as the most objectively, like,
Yeah.
artful
Nice.
one.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Well, thanks for contributing to the question. Finally.
No problem. Thanks
Yeah.
for asking.
We finally got
You're always
there,
so
yeah.
good at remembering to ask a question that ties
Well,
together things
I
we're
know,
doing
yeah.
that are supposed to be related.
To be honest, you said I'm good at remembering, but it really came to me at the last moment, so I didn't really remember anything. But
Fair.
I appreciate that anyway.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
Thanks for listening.
You don't have to say it. There's an outro that says it.
Thanks again for listening to the feature-length podcast.
Before
you can cut
before
that
we
out.
get to the outro, I'm gonna if you haven't already, check out our Batman prediction video.
Yeah.
As of this episode coming out, the Batman will be out in like 1 day. But like still go ahead and check out the prediction video that Dan and I recorded on the Batman. Dan has laboriously edited this video together into a quality YouTube product.
So good.
So go ahead and check it out. Yeah, because like, you know, if you guys like stuff like that, we could occasionally do more
It was
heavily
really
edited
fun.
stuff.
The process
And even
is
if you
very
get to it after the Batman comes out, just see how wrong or right they were.
Yeah,
That's the
also
fun part.
It's like
yeah.
a fun
fun in and
game.
of itself, yeah.
Yeah,
Watch it before and then watch it again after.
exactly. I'm sure we'll be like a little right.
Oh, at least.
Like
You
a
sounded
little.
convincing.
I mean,
It's all about-
believe
it's all
that
about
some of the
confidence.
things you brought up would happen.
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of our ideas are good.
I mean, there's one thing in there that we now objectively know is wrong
Yeah.
because of information that came out after the video was finished, but that's okay.
God damn it, stupid fucking Matt Reeves. Anyway, yeah.
Thanks again for listening to the feature-length podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot to us if you liked this video or audio. Give us a rating and review if the platform you're listening to us on allows that. If you want to stay up to date with the latest episodes of the podcast, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the bell to be notified when we post a new video, or follow the podcast on Spotify. If you want to connect with us directly, you can follow us on Instagram at featurelengthpodcast, or even send us an email at featurelengthpodcast@gmail.com. Catch you on the flip side. Marco was like, wait, before we get to the outro, even though you have all the power in this edit to like just put the outro wherever you want.
Yeah, a little, maybe. Kajam,
Right,
kajam,
right,
kajam.
right.
Baby,